Right, lads and lasses, let's get comfortable here. As you can see today, we're not in the man shed, we're in the kitchen. This is Int's tips and advice for beginners. What we're going to talk about today, the reason why we're in the kitchen instead of in the man shed, is we're going to talk about the mental side of the game. Up to now, what we've been through, if you want to go back and have a look at the other videos, is we've gone over grouping, stance and addressing the board, a further explanation of the mechanics of the game, and then serving hand, which is obviously getting the darts from your serving hand into your throwing hand correctly and consistently. So today what we're going to talk about is the mental side of the game. Now, what it's all about, the mental side of the game, is zoning out, mental strength, good preparation and confidence. Obviously, if your confidence is high when you go in to a game, you stand a lot better chance of winning. And if you're confident that you can beat your opponent, if you believe in yourself and you believe that you can beat your opponent, even if you don't, you're going to give them the best game that you can give them. And obviously, as you improve, your game will get better and you will beat them. It's as simple as that. So what you've got to do is try and motivate yourself in a way, and also what you've got to learn to be able to do is to control yourself, to control your emotions and to control your breathing and to control your state of mind. Now, first of all, how many times have we all watched the telly? You're watching every darts tournament, and the commentator at some point during the game will turn around and say, the power's gone off his game, he's gone off the boil, or Peter Wright's gone off the boil. So Michael Van Gerwen's taking advantage of that and he's carrying it and he's walking away with the game. Now what happens is your mental state of mind is like a block of stone, right? And what happens to it is, let's just say, if you're playing in the pub, this doesn't really count, because obviously in the pub it's a jovial thing, you've all had a couple of beers, you're playing probably for the fun of it. If you're in a league, there's a bit of competition there, but it's not like playing for money. When you're actually playing in a tournament, what you're attempting to do is beat your opponent not at any cost, wrong way of putting it really, but you want to mentally beat your opponent so your confidence levels stay high during the game so you don't go off the boil. Now what happens when you go off the boil, and it inevitably happens this way, and it always happens this way, is you'll get, no matter who it is, Phil Taylor, Peter Wright, Barney, anyone, what they'll do is they'll have a couple of bad visits to the board. You get a bad visit to the board, if you're a player that's used to throwing 140s, 100s, 177s, 180s and finishing nice and crisp and clean, if you get a visit of 26, what it does is it takes a little chip out of that block, and it happens to the pros as well as it happens to all of us. So what happens when you get a chip out of that block is your self-esteem goes down slightly and your confidence goes down that one little notch. But what's going on in the back of your mind is, if you're playing a good player, is you automatically think, now I've had a bad visit to the board, my next visit to the board has got to be a 140, it's got to be an 100. If you're in the lower leagues, I've got to throw a 60. So what you're doing is you're putting pressure on yourself to actually throw a better 3 hours next time than you would normally throw, rather than allowing yourself to let that go and just carry on playing the game that you're playing. If you let go of it and carry on the game that you're playing, even if you're playing at a good standard, you might lose that leg. If you lose that leg, big deal. All you've got to do is you've got to let go. Most games are over, let's say best of 10 legs is short format now. If you're going on to a long format game, which is in sets, it could be the best of five sets. You could have loads of legs to get back. So what you've got to do is you've got to learn yourself to let go. Then what you've got to be able to do is you've got to be able to move on from that and not let it pull you down. A great way of doing this is what I do, or I try and do, is exactly what the pros say they try and do, is play the board. This involves something what I call, and you've heard me say this if you've watched the other videos, zoning out. What you need to do is you need to try and attempt, and you can do this, it takes a while to do it, but what you can do is you can zone out the things that are going on around you. What I tend to do is, as my opponent goes to the hockey, I turn my back. I don't watch what's going on. If I'm in a competition, I don't watch what's going on, and I don't even try and pay any attention to what the caller's calling. Obviously, you can hear the caller call something out, but if you can zone it out to a point where you don't hear what they've called, and then just go to the hockey, do your visit, play the board, you'll find that when the other player's game, when he goes off the boil and he's had a few bad arrows, you don't know anything about it because you've not seen them and you've not heard it. So you're playing your game all the time, like you do when you practice at home, in the garage, in the back bedroom, like me, in my man shed. Get out there, do the practicing. When I go to a competition, I try and zone it all out, and that hopefully will make your game more consistent if you can manage to achieve that. It's not the easiest thing in the world, and like I've said before, it's all about a state of mind. The biggest part of your state of mind when you go to play a competition is your preparation. You've got to prepare properly. I've done this before, been a bit too cocky, turned up on the day, been to a competition, not practiced on that morning, not got myself into the right mental state, and I played like an absolute lemon. And I was extremely embarrassed by it, and I've made sure that has never happened again. So good preparation will mean that you will have a good performance. Don't let things get on top of you. If you have a couple of bad visits to the hockey, it's just one of them things. It's going to happen during your practice, and it's damn sure as hell going to happen when you're competing. Because when you get to the point where you've had a bad throw, the next thing is you think you're breathing faster, your level of anxiety has gone through the roof, you're trying to achieve something higher than you would normally expect yourself to achieve to try and get yourself back into that leg. Just let it go and try and carry on in the next leg or in the next throw the same way as you did before. Right, this is just a small insight into the mental side of the game. I'm going to do other videos on the mental side of the game and different aspects of it in the future. So thanks for watching. I hope this has helped. So to the hockey.